One of the biggest mysteries of Call of Duty Black Ops 6 has to be the death of Jane Harrow's parents. Now, in terms of what we can assume to be true is, at least from my point of view, is that Pantheon probably set this up. I think that maybe Pantheon has been part of the CIA for decades, and I think Pantheon set up Harrow's parents to be killed and made it seem obviously like a home invasion to the public, but on the inside made it seem like they were maybe double agents. I think this happened because potentially Harrow's parents were catching wind of something that Pantheon was doing, catching wind that something was wrong within the CIA, and to be stopped, they were murdered. Now, we see that the document came from Emerson Black, and if Emerson Black kind of sounds familiar to you, he was one of the main characters in Call of Duty Cold War. Now, we never really see his face, but we hear him talk a lot to Jason Hudson. And so that also begs the question, is Emerson Black part of Pantheon? I don't know, right? I really don't know, but he could be. And there's this theory out there that many fans are believing and giving consideration to, which is the fact that maybe it was Alex Mason who killed Jane Harrow's parents. Now, yes, I know that this theory is out there, but does this seem all that unrealistic? Alex Mason in the 1960s is working for the CIA. He's doing his job. Nothing crazy has happened yet as the events of Black Ops 1 takes place in 1961. So he's still an agent doing his work. And I'm sure that he deals with a lot of things in that line of work. But if his employer, the CIA, calls him and says, we have these double agents that need to be eradicated ASAP, this is the mission plan, go and execute. Alex Mason is doing nothing wrong by executing his mission plan. So it's not like we're painting Alex Mason as a bad guy here who, we're not pulling a Joel on Alex Mason, right? We're not doing that. But this theory is plausible, like I said before, because the timeline adds up. The outfit that Alex Mason is wearing is very reminiscent of something that we've seen him wear in the past on multiple occasions. The first time in Black Ops 1, where he's being completely brainwashed, that outfit looks very, very similar to the one that Alex Mason wears. And then in Black Ops 2, when he's murdered in 1989, he's also wearing an outfit that's very similar to the one that we see this man that attacked Harrow's parents. Now, Harrow was made to believe that it was Russell Adler who killed her parents. She was almost brainwashed with that thought. But we find out that it wasn't actually Adler, as the more that she thinks about it and Woods helps her walk through it, we realize that it was a different voice. Now, if we play this voice here and we compare it to the voice of the new Alex Mason character, actor, or voice actor.
Targets eliminated.
That's what you do best, isn't it, Hudson? Manipulate people. Tell them your own version of the truth.
Maybe they don't sound all that similar, so it's really hard to say, yeah, that was Mason. No, that wasn't Mason. We could also argue that this was a younger version of Mason. So I don't know. It could be one or the other, or neither. But I know that when I first instantly saw the masked man come through the door, I thought Mason. I thought Alex Mason, and not because I'm delusional or not because I want to force Mason back alive or back into the story. That's not why I thought it, just because the outfit looked so damn similar to something that we've seen Alex Mason wear multiple times. And I thought this could be a good way to tie into the events of Black Ops 2 in Panama, and I thought that's the direction that they were going to go. But we never really get to see who is that masked man. We don't ever get an identity confirmation. We just kind of have to assume, or I guess be left on a cliffhanger in regards of his identity. And if we look on Reddit, we have someone named Spider-Man Peter who commented on it. I believe that Mason killed her parents because they knew something that the CIA didn't want them to know. Jane was probably the mole for Panama mission, wanting revenge on the CIA. And obviously he says that the campaign was really good. So there's a discussion on it, right? It's not just me or one person or two people just spouting crap. It's people want to have this conversation, and it's a conversation that is bringing up a lot of new ideas, conversations, and theories. And again, if you have Alex Mason being the one responsible for Jane Harrow's parents dying, then that's another twist. It's another way that we could kind of take the story. It's maybe a little side plot or a side mission that we can explore a little bit, get a little bit of Mason, understand what happened, why it happened, and it can easily make sense. But I don't know that they'll do that. I don't know. I think maybe the outfit was also, it could have been just like a little callback, like a little Easter egg referencing Mason and his outfit that he wore back in the day. But I just thought that this needed to be talked about. I thought that we could have this conversation here together and maybe talk about it in the comments and see what you guys think about this theory and see what you guys can add to it or take away from it, maybe help us prove it or help us disapprove it, right? And like from my personal view, I did want to have this combo because I did think at the beginning that it could have been Mason. And I think even when the game ended, I thought it could have been Mason that killed Jane Harrow's parents. But other theories out there, again, on some of those same Reddit posts were commenting that it could have been Case. That's why we never saw his face, and that's why we never saw the face of the man who killed Harrow, because it was Case the one that did it. But if we look at it from that perspective, it was 1960, and that man looked like he was maybe in his mid to 30s, right? And that would have put Case at almost 70 years old, 60 years old by the time the 1980s rolled around. And I just don't think that Case is that old. Case to me seems like a guy who's probably in his mid 20s as of right now, as 1991. And so there's no way in hell that he would have been able to be the guy who killed Jane Harrow's parents, because he would have been an old ass man. He probably would have been older than, maybe not an old ass man, but he probably would have been the same age as Woods, maybe a little bit older than Woods. So it really doesn't make sense that, the way they talk to Case. So no, I don't think it was Case. But again, Alex Mason being the guy who killed Jane Harrow's parents, it could have happened. It also wouldn't have major implications to the story now, because all that could have happened and Alex Mason still could have died in 1989 and nothing major would have occurred, right? So, I mean, nothing major changes Alex Mason's life or timeline, whether he did kill Harrow's parents or he did not, unless, some crazy stuff happens. And maybe that's why Alex Mason went into hiding. Maybe it just wasn't because of Menendez. It might have been because other stuff were going around, and maybe Pantheon had to believe that, Alex Mason was actually dead. But I don't know. That's just what I think. What do you think?